Hey, it's Mark Linear with your video thought for the day. Okay, this week I'm talking about Genesis and creation. And yesterday I talked about how I had done this great effort to try and grow potatoes, which frankly did not work that well. But today I thought I'd come over here. This is my mom's garden. My mom goes by Mimi. This is Mimi's garden. And it looks gorgeous right now. The irises are in bloom. Look at these purple irises. You can hear the wind chime as the wind blows through. And these irises are just amazing and gorgeous. And they'll bloom like this for the next month at least, I think. You can see other beds that are looking really, really good right now. We've got some daylilies over there that are in bloom and just a number of things. And this reminds me of the Garden of Eden in the sense that it was a wonderful, lush garden where things were right and good. And yet, just a few chapters later, we read about Noah and the flood, where God's basically saying, I'm going to wash this world out and start all over. And for that, I need to change locations. So hang on, it will take me longer than it takes you, but I'm going to pause the video here, and in a moment, you'll see me somewhere else. So we've just seen the equivalent of the Garden of Eden. I mean, obviously the Garden of Eden would have been better, but hey, that's about what we got. Now, let me tell you what I got here. This is a weed junk bed. I mean, you're sitting there saying, well, it looks pretty lush and green. No, these are weeds. Look, this stuff is a vine that's just growing and going to kill that tree if I let it keep going. It's already killing this plant. It's taken over. This should have pretty flowers on it, but it ain't going to have any flowers if I let this weed go. And frankly, sometimes it gets so bad that we've got no choice but to just wipe that bed out. Just clean the whole thing out. We can't salvage some of this because the bad growth, the weeds have taken it over. Now, that's kind of what we get in Genesis chapter 6. See, after the sin of Adam and Eve, and they get kicked out of the garden because their sin doesn't allow them to dwell in the beauty of the holy place, then they're out there in the world and they go from bad to worse, because that's what happens when we live separated from God. If God is not there as our touchstone, if we're not learning from Him and fellowshipping with Him and walking with Him, if we turn our nose to Him and hold our nose and walk away, then we walk into darkness and into the world of weeds and problems. And that is not something that's good for any of us. And God says, I'm just going to wipe it. Now, the thing is, God found Noah. And Noah was, in Hebrew, it's the word tzedek. It's righteous. He was a good man. He was still seeking God. And God wasn't going to let him get wiped out with everybody else. Now, the lesson to this story is not a geological lesson of a flood. The lesson to this story for you and me is, if we follow sin, it leads us to certain conditions that are like a cancer that just need to be cut out and raised. But if we seek to walk with God in His righteousness, then we find a blessing that causes us to rise above, in the sense of Noah and the ark. Rise above the destruction that comes into this world and into this life. So I'm sitting here thinking about it as my video thought for the day, as an extension of this creation week, if you will. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to be this. I want to be the pretty beds that I walked among before. And to the extent I have any say-so in that, that is going to be by whether I live my life oriented to God and His goodness and His righteousness and His instructions and His inspiration and His care, or whether I turn my back on Him and leave myself to my own sinful devices. I know what kind of bed I want to make, which bed I want to lie in, and I suspect you do too. So let's think about that today as our video thought for the day.